Okay, welcome to another episode of The Amazing Adventure. This is number 16. We're beyond the middle of the book, The Amazing Adventure. We have 31 episodes in the book. This is David, Day of Discovery from 2 Samuel. One of my Bible professors, I mentioned this before, always said to try to read one book of the Bible in a sitting. And this is about 24 chapters, so it's pretty long, but it's doable, and it's an amazing story. We went over to 1 Samuel last week with David and Goliath, and he became a hero, and Saul was the king of Israel. And then in 2 Samuel, we see that Saul was jealous of David. He threw a spear at him twice, tried to kill him. And then David escaped, of course, and then he also chased him in the wilderness and was trying to kill him again. Saul was very jealous. He had an evil spirit, and David honored the king, though, because he had a couple chances to kill him in the wilderness when Saul came in the cave. His men wanted David to kill the king right there, and he's like, no, I won't touch the Lord's anointed. He was waiting on God, patiently waiting. And second time he went into the camp, took his jug and his spear, and just wanted to prove to Saul that he wasn't trying to hurt him. But Saul appreciated that, but he still chased David. But eventually he got killed in battle, and David became the king, and the people rejoiced. It was a great time. But then David had his fall. He saw Bathsheba on the terrace and asked her to come to him, and they got her pregnant, and he sent her husband to the front lines, had him killed in the battle. And Nathan the prophet came to David and said, that there's going to be consequences for your sin. David repented, but there were still consequences. The baby had died after getting sick for 7 days. And then his son killed his other son, and then that son tried to take over the kingdom from David. So it was a huge mess. And I'm just thinking about our mess. I mean, when we have our mess, that's just normal in this life. But it doesn't change our identity, just like it didn't change David's faith, because later you see in the Psalms how he praised God, how he was a man after God's own heart. And he said in Psalm 23 that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He was a broken man. So when we have our flesh patterns that develop from our selfish ways, our ways of operating apart from Christ, then that flesh pattern gets exposed. And that's what God does to break us and to break us of that, because He wants us to live out of our identity. That's where we really experience true blessing, experience the fullness of His love. But this is the story of the whole Bible. We see the sin in each of these characters here: Adam, Noah, Abraham, Jacob, Moses, all through the Bible. But and then into David. And David was the king, which represented he was a precursor of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, the one to come. But all these men had sin in their lives, but Jesus didn't. Jesus was sinless, the perfect Lamb of God. And that's sort of the point of the whole story, is that the promised one, Jesus Christ, is coming. He's the only one that can truly save us. He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, because He never sinned, and He has a perfect identity. And like us, He doesn't have to be broken of His flesh, but we do, and that's the world we live in. Let me just read this 2 Samuel chapter 7. It's one of the mountain peak chapters of the Bible. Talks about in verse 16, and your house and your kingdom shall endure before me forever. Your throne shall be established forever. So that was the promise to David, the Davidic covenant of the one to come, and the promised king to come, Jesus Christ.